let's get into some listener stuff, man. Thank you guys as always for putting these up. I'll go through them as many as I can here. Did the offense make adjustments to get the run game going, or did they just play? But it made adjustments. Certainly, you're just trying to find that right play that works against the defense that they're using. We talked about it. They're moving a lot. We're good. What does Josh Myers need to do? Seeing him whiff at the goal line is reminiscent of college film. Yeah, listen, I would say this: the way that Josh plays is he's got the physical tools to play. His technique, he still plays over the top of himself, so his shoulders are always too far forward. Like he's never in the base position. I shouldn't say never. Sometimes he's not in the base position that you want, and that makes him look silly at times. It takes away a lot of power, it takes away a lot of mobility. You gotta train it. It's got to be your number one priority. Hearing varied opinions about Quay and McDuffie's performance. I don't know from who. Should Cooper be starting over one of them? Cooper played, for the snaps that he got in, aggressive. Like what you see, just from an aggressive standpoint, still undersized. We showed a couple of those where, I'm like, to keep it simple. There's places you need to be, but it really is kind of a mishmash in there at times, and you have to be scheme and assignment sound. It's difficult when guys are literally like their feet are in the ground and they're just moving the wrong direction because the turf is allowing them to move away. I thought for the most part, both those guys did some things really well. You're always going to get exposed in the run game, or excuse me, in the passing game, when you get like a Saquon Barkley against you. Or there's a lot of times in this game where we had McDuffie in particular would have to be like out guarding the slot and bounce out in the zone coverage, and all of a sudden have some sort of manners or matching responsibilities with a guy that like he's not equipped to beat. And I just think the Eagles did probably a really good job of putting our guys in positions where through motion or structural or formational changes, you put either Quay or McDuffie away from the football out in space and brought like Nixon down in space, and you're going like, this doesn't really make a ton of sense. How do Walker and Tom shape compared to Clifton and Toucher? I don't know about shape. I don't know if we're talking about physical shape. I'm not touching that one. Walker and Tom compared to Clifton and Toucher were just like, so Clifton was, I played with Walter Jones, and he's the best player I've ever seen. Clifton is one of the most talented guys I've ever seen. And he could do things. We would sit and film just from a speed standpoint, as big as he was. Just from a speed standpoint, his first kicks were so fast compared to everybody. And I'm quick. Flanagan's, we're all quick, but he was faster than us. He was just flat out, he's a better human than we were. And Tausch, I've always said this, like Tausch is inexplicably gifted in his ability to maintain balance into contact. And I don't know that I've ever seen anybody as good as he is at absorbing pressure. I don't think there might not be a single part of his pass set that you would go like, I want to borrow that, right? Until somebody touches him and they make pressure, and all of a sudden, like his ability to drop weight, like he's a sneaky athlete. His ability to drop weight in core is just very, very unique. So it's almost tough to like. I really like Zach Tom, and I think time will tell on that one. But let's just say that on the other side, Clifton's, man, unbelievable. Did Jordan Morton secure the right guard spot after replacing Ryan during the game? Well, so they're going in and out. I talked about this before. For me, I would just give it to him because it seems like inevitably they're going to give it to him eventually. So, why don't we just live through the growing pains now and move on from it? Because you're not seeing anything from either player that you're like, definitive better. But you're also looking at this like, how are we still here? How is this still happening? Like now we're in week 2. Like find a solution. Will Adrian Cooper take over starting linebacker? He showed a clear boost advantage of the defense being out there. So he made a play off the edge. I think I cut it out, but it was because we had so much tape. But he made a play off the edge that I really liked. Even then, it was actually showing. I was actually showing that he was slipping. But Cooper's a really good player, really good talent. You have to understand the defense. You saw just how you bring a new defensive in, you got your veteran guys in there making some alignment and assignment errors, and then you see it just from a scheme standpoint. There's a lot of stuff where you're just out schemed and out leveraged, maybe more so in the passing game than in the run game. And everything you're trying to do with matching up a guy like one on one, like Dion used to. Oh, I was traveling with this guy, like that actually has some structural problems for causes structural problems for the rest of the defense. Like, just imagine if you're playing, man over here, and you're trying to run zone everywhere else. And obviously, that zone includes the backside guy who's now in man, usually having like a deep third or a deep court or whatever. So it kind of messes with you a little bit. And I think they do a good job of like identifying when we want to go just straight matchup over here versus, zone to maybe the trip side. But there's situations in every game where if guys are doing that, there's obvious holes in the defense if the quarterback can identify what that issue is. Is the O line looking that bad? Was it the field conditions? Philly's front four is good. I didn't think it was like I don't think anybody was overwhelmed. I think the movement hurt them for a while, but listen, we ended up with a really good day on the ground. We scored 29 points, wins football games. I haven't watched the game. We've seen the same mistakes from year to year. For example, Myers Walker. Yes, yeah. It's a short answer. Yes. Um, General thoughts on the D, and is Jones different than Jacobs? Okay, so general thoughts on the defense. I think we just talked about it. So Jones versus Jacobs. Jones had a big day for Minnesota. I believe so. I don't know his stats, but I think he had a good day. Downhill versus a little more. I think I would say I don't know that Jones is a better pure runner than Jacobs. I don't think that's true at all. I think maybe from a dynamic playmaking standpoint, what he has, just his lateral movement, his ability in the passing game, all that, and then all the intangibles that we don't necessarily know that Jacobs doesn't have. He was a team captain in Oakland, so I mean Las Vegas. Good lord. I think from a pure running standpoint, you're looking at just different styles, but both very, very effective. And I don't know that one's better than the other. I think what we talk about Jones is just seeing this offensive line, especially early on, missing things. And then we saw what Jones was doing the last 5 games of the season last year with essentially the same group, making lemonade out of lemons sometimes. And I think that maybe that's just a time thing for them to understand what Josh Jacobs is going to be better at, or what our line's able to do against good teams. But I made a comment earlier that they're missing Jones a little bit. I think I said that after the first half. In the second half, they come back and they actually listen, they had a lot of really good runs. I think Jacobs is probably going to be more of that kind of guy, anyways. How are we going to start fast? Well, that has something to do with him certainly, but it also has a lot to do with how's Emmanuel Wilson coming along? Is Marshawn Lloyd going to come back and be healthy? What's he going to look like? And then is our offensive line going to move anybody off the spot for the first quarter? It says breakdown of Rashid's poor game. I don't know how poor it was in comparison to other people. I mean, he certainly, yeah. I don't think the Packers going anywhere from here at left tackle. I wasn't aware that he played that poor of a game. Certainly, again, preseason matters when you're watching. If you watch practice and there's just not a lot of live reps, and they're not playing in the preseason, you just have to. You look at games like this and you're like, come on, man! Like, this is why this happens. It's like, I think, who was it? Peyton talking about Ayuk's holding out. Like for some guys, maybe for Walter Jones, he used to miss every training camp. It doesn't matter. Like for mostly, like 99%, like for me, it would matter. Like me not playing the preseason would be a problem. Like I got along, you can get away with it, but you still got to get a week or two in, and it's like some real reps. Hard to tell as an amateur, but how much of the pressure on low the O line versus good for the defense? Again, I don't know how much pressure though. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles are a really good defense. I don't know how much pressure there. I don't know if there's like an outstanding amount of pressure more than we thought there was going to be. I think the play calling is limited by the field conditions. Again, I didn't think he was under that much duress. This wasn't like a 5-sack game or he was getting hit every play by any means. So, yeah, not time to pick. Not time to panic. I think the only thing we don't want to talk about is just moving on. We got the Colts next week. I watched a ton of Colts film yesterday, actually, for some other stuff. I'm going to tell you this: Defense, you are going to have your hands full with Anthony Richardson. We'll talk about it. Probably one of the sickest throws I've ever seen in my life live. I mean, just backpedaling to your left, throwing it 70 yards, 75 yards. I mean, it was just unbelievable. The guy's incredibly talented. Obviously, with their running game and their offensive line is looks like they're trying to play downhill a little bit more. They gave the Texans all they could handle. The Texans are a really good football team. I think walked out of there 29-27. I'm looking at the defensive side of the football. And we talk about Rasheed Walker. I think he's going to have this is going to be a good matchup. I think the best matchup of the day, though, is by far their defensive tackle 99 is at Buckner versus Elgton Jenkins on that side, because that's two really good players. Buckner's still a really good player. He was a good player with the Niners. He's a great player now. They can move him around, and if I'm them, actually, thinking about it now, they're probably going to put him over whoever the right guard is as often as possible. But I think there's some good matchups. The UCLA rookie's out there playing backup right defensive end. He's a good player. He's got a lot of movement to him. He's got some good head movement. We should be looking to drop at least 30, which I know is one better than 29. But again, 29 points wins you football games in this league. So, I'll try to get a little more of a video preview out before the end of the week. But until then, man, thanks for watching. Thank you to our host, Bet Online. If you're liking the show, hit like, subscribe, rate, and review this. It's been a while, guys. Jeez, a little rusty. Subscribe, rate, and review this on our Process to Perform channel on YouTube. Michael68 on Twitter, man. Thank you for your time. Any more questions, hit me up. See you next time.